Well, welcome everybody to yet another episode of Raising the Grade. I'm beyond ecstatic today. I have two guests with me today. First time for that. Media for You is in the house today. We have Jaden. Welcome.
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
And Sabrina.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having us.
The other half of the duo. Well, we try to always jump right in and break the ice with digging in. Usually I got one person to ask, so I'm not sure who to ask first. Yeah. I'm going to start with you. Just put you on the spotlight. Who is Sabrina?
Oh, that's a really deep question. I don't even know how to begin to answer that.
Likes or what makes you you? What gets you up in the morning?
Honestly, I would say the team that we've built, just being able to show up for them, and just fill that leader role, because I mean, if we don't show up, what makes them want to show up, at the end of the day?
Lead by example.
100%. Yeah. But I would say a lot of what drives me is just showing like my little brothers that there's more than what we're like brought into.
How many little brothers you got?
I have two, but I have a lot in on total in total.
Very cool.
Yeah, I came from kind of a big spread out family.
Like, are we talking 30 or what?
You can go in on that. It's a big piece of you.
Yeah, I would say, well, I was adopted, so starting out. So when I was younger, I went back and forth between like houses because my mom was huge on drugs and everything. And so 6, I went into the foster care system and I ended up getting adopted by my brother's grandparents. And so since then, they've never really had any role models growing up or anything. And so that's been like my huge push. But to go back and answer your question about how many siblings, I have like 13, 13 in total.
Well done. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I have tons.
Wow, top that, bro.
No, I can't top that. No, our family lives are definitely different. They're close to the same now in the sense of her, her parents who adopted her, right? Are definitely very loving parents and definitely care about her a lot. And so being able to
don't be my first podcast that makes me cry.
No,
okay, let's keep it.
Being able to watch her go through, or it just like, you kind of look a little deeper past the eyes and be like, I never got to experience what you experienced, going through the foster care system, not knowing who's raising you, not knowing who to call mom, dad, those types of things, right? It's been pretty interesting. It's been a different look at stuff. But I think in general, it does allow us to have that very not opposing, but different looks in life to be able to mesh them together.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times where, she has something, or an opinion of something. Yeah. An insight that, maybe I was looking at it differently. And it allows us to kind of come together in a healthy way to balance both and back and forth and find that happy medium. Yeah. So for me, really, I mean, I have my brother, and then my parents. My big person, if we want to go into the entrepreneurial side, was my grandfather. Okay. And so growing up, I had somehow found, my first interest was cars. Okay. So I loved cars since a little kid. So I had my video games. All I do is racing games.
How fun.
And, and so then I got into that spot of obviously I'm 13. I can't buy a car. But what I could do is I could buy those little model cars. And so my grandfather is an entrepreneur. He's the one who kind of put me on with the business side of hey, he's like, let's go. He's like, I have my wholesale license. Let's go buy a bunch of these model cars in bulk.
Oh, fun.
And then he's like, when I'm going to all these fairs and doing all these, vendor things, he's like, I'll get you a little table, put it right on the side. I'll put all your cars out on display and let you sell.
How fun.
And it worked out really well to the spot to where I was able to have all these different model cars in my bedroom, but also I didn't have to pay for them, because I was making it with selling them.
How cool. Thanks, Gramps.
It was.
What did Grandpa do? I'm kind of curious.
So my grandpa sold a couple things. His main thing was he did pocket knives. He did those little dragon statues or candles, those types of stuff.
Home show vibes. Dude, those are so fun.
Yep. And so that's always been his thing and what he's been doing for a while. I know he had a employment agency before, the internet really exploded with, employment side. So that was his original thing. And then he moved to this. But I mean, he's excellent salesman. He's very good at it. And he's in that, he kind of showed me that sales doesn't have to be that debate between two people, but more be their friend, make them laugh, make them feel warm with you. And when that happens, they're willing, even if maybe it's that product, even that product isn't fully for them, because they like you so much, they're willing to kind of support. And so that's kind of
that's good advice. Good advice. I like it. If you guys don't mind sharing how old you are, I think it's kind of fascinating if you'd go first.
Yeah. So I'm 22.
Wow.
I'm also 22.
Let's freaking go, man. Less than half my age. My next guest is going to be like 12. I'm going to be like, this is how I made it in the stock market. It's fun because the video that just posted today, which will be like 5 weeks ago, if people are watching this, was with Trace Walters, a local renovation contractor who some could say is a competitor, but it's really more just like, hey, there's enough meat on the bone out here for everybody. He's a good guy. I like him. I want to support him. Really why I had you guys in here. So thank you so much for coming through, because as a fresh business owner, I was in this struggle. Like, I'm old, but I know I need socials. I know I need, a podcast. I know I need some Google ads and some Facebook ads. Like, I know that, no clue how. Yeah. And you guys made it. So I've tried some other people before you guys in that space, And it was so refreshing part of it is I'm a handshaker. You're willing to go sit down at a coffee shop, and be like, hey, what are we doing here? And just made it work. Talk to me a little bit about maybe your background, how you guys came together, like maybe some stories about a little bit before media for you, like what got you here, and then we'll dig into like what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to start on like how we met up?
Oh, God.
They always get the girls always got to tell the story.
The true side.
I know. Oh no, you can keep it PG as you want.
Oh,
no,
sure,
it's
PG,
definitely PG.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Yeah, so I mean, we met at college. I would say, I think it was our second year, right?
Very first
year. Okay.
Yeah.
First one wrong already.
All right.
But our first year, it was COVID time, so it was pretty late on campus that night. I think the only
you guys met each other with a mask on. You're like, that's my gal. That's my guy.
Yeah. we both weren't sure how we looked, but we were like, okay, from the top up, it looks okay.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the only thing open on campus was Taco Bell.
Okay.
And so definitely don't want to tell my kids one day that we met at Taco Bell.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's okay.
It's just part of the story.
But
there won't be a Taco Bell when, like in a while, I feel like.
They'll probably be like, you guys need to meet online? That's what everyone does.
Weird.
I guess that's true.
You weren't in the metaverse? Where's your problem?
Yeah.
Sorry, just kidding. Don't wish that on anybody. Let's not go there. Continue.
But yeah, so we were just waiting in line. I think he was behind. We kept like staring at each other. And if you hear from his side, I was staring at him. But it was pretty mutual. And so my friend told me, why don't you go and get his number? And I'm like, no, I'm scared. Like, I don't, the guy should be the one to do that. And so she ended up going up to him and asking for his number. And then we had messaged that night, and he's like, I'm not talking to you until tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we're not going to have anything to talk about tomorrow.
Wow.
So I was like, this is very different.
Okay,
it wasn't aggressive like that.
It was pretty aggressive.
It was more
I know it's funny how people read text versus what you really said. Like, hey, I'm going to go chill out tonight. But really, she's like, not till tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I saw that where it was going to go was we were going to be, just texting the whole night through, right? And just getting to like fully learn each other. And the last thing I wanted to risk was us talking or, texting each other for 6 hours, staying up the whole night. And then the next day come to meet, for the first time and be like, oh, well, I already kind of know you. Like, and then trying to figure out some of those small like talk conversations.
Wow, good job.
It is very crazy though, because Jaden thinks this way about like everything. Like he's such a hard thinker, and so it's been a huge reason why we've been able to do so well. It's just because he thinks.
He's already thought about it 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah.
The quiet, silent type. You got to watch him. They're over there thinking.
But it worked. It worked. And so when we met that next day, we went to a little like a taco spot, and then after that, got to learn each other, and from that point we met up at 12 at noon, and then stayed pretty much hung out the whole way through to like 3-4 in the morning.
Let's go.
We were just tired, and we
That's so
we
fun.
went on again, into our cars. I had a Mustang at the time. So we got some other friends with their cars and did some little like cruising around and things like that. And so, it just automatically clicked. I was like, our interests completely the same. It didn't feel like you had to really try hard or be someone else that you weren't.
It's kind of the goal. That's the dream, guys. Yeah. So congrats. I'm really happy for you guys. So you're so young. You've been together a little bit. You're in business together. Yes. So you guys like a 50-50, like a 51-49?
No, absolutely. Just 50-50. Cool. So how that all kind of got started was at the time that we had met, I'd been doing video stuff, but just for myself. So like all the gear that I had was really just so I can make little YouTube videos. Like at that time, I kind of like, I wanted to be a YouTuber.
How fun.
And so I knew kind of how to, film little edits or make, little videos. And then she knew really well how to kind of run the social media aspect and kind of like, hey, this is what people like. This is what people don't like. This is going to bore people. It's going to entertain people. And so I think when I met her, the only thing that I was really shy about was like, she had, I want to say like 70,000 followers on like TikTok when it was really big at that moment. And so I was like, oh no, I was like, she's famous and I'm not. And so, she started seeing some of these videos that I had, and just kind of stored up, right? To kind of post on YouTube. She's like, you need to put these out on like other social media platforms. Like you need to go on Instagram, you need to put these out on TikTok, all these different things. And so with that being said, I was like, okay, we'll try it out. So we started trying it. I started again into cars. We were going to little car meets. Instead of me now really filming myself, I was kind of just filming the surroundings. The vibe, and nothing. Like it was getting no traction at all. I was probably getting like 100 views each video. And I was kind of putting my heart out into these, and she was watching me put my heart out into them. And so it got to a spot where she came into an idea. We were at a little car meet, and then there was a baby in a stroller, but that stroller was decked out like a car.
Oh, fun.
And she was like, you have to make a video with that kid. She's like, that's funny. And I was like, I'm not going up to them, and
can I film your baby?
And I'm introvert. I'm very introvert. Yes, she's more on the extrovert side. And it plays out really good in our business too, because things were, common spots we shop at. I don't want to talk to people. I just want to do my thing. She's like, I'm talking to that owner. I'm going to figure out what they're doing on social media and this and that. But she went up, asked them, hey, can we make a little video? They of course agreed. We did it, put it together same night, finished it up. And I was getting ready to post it before, we went our ways and went to sleep. And she was like, if this doesn't get any views, she's like, you need to just delete your apps, like delete them and restart over. Cause she's like, something's wrong. She's like, it is not this hard. And
because that video that he made was really good. And so I'm like, this is definitely going to blow up. And if it doesn't blow up, something's wrong. Like something's wrong with your social media.
So
those are big words right there. I like that she kind of had the authority to just be like, listen.
Like this is how it's going to be. So we posted it up. And then at that time, again, I had maybe 200 followers or so. Woke up the next morning and I was at like 30,000 followers. And that video was at like 1.5 million views.
How fun.
And then in that same spot, this was on TikTok at the time, but on my Instagram and TikTok were connected. And so on Instagram, I just was flooded with, message requests of everybody being like, can you film me next? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you film here? I have a business. Can you do this, this? Tons of moms wanting to fly us out to go film their babies. It was funny. And
what
so
a niche. Like, bro, I would literally think about diving into that.
Right. And that's like our family was kind of in that same spot. They're like, you should just stay in the baby industry. And I was like,
honestly, that's something. Maybe we got a side business going on.
Yeah, maybe. We haven't, honestly, I've never filmed a baby since that day.
People spend so much money on their kids, bro.
Oh, yeah.
More than their business.
Yeah, very true. And so with that being said, at that time, I know she was jobless. She was just a student. And then for me, I was working at In-N-Out. And so I liked In-N-Out, but this was where, like, this was more fun to me. You know what I mean? Of course. For sure. And so I was like, if I can accept all these jobs that all these people are offering me, just through these messages, I was like, I have over 100 messages. If I just go one by one and start taking I'll make the money of In-N-Out and I want to work there.
Yeah.
So I started, bouncing between both, right? I was still working at In-N-Out, kind of cut the hours a little bit, and then filming these, requests. And then over time, I finally just said, you know what? I said, this is seeming to work out.
Yeah.
We started putting out some more videos on TikTok. Again, those are all going to millions. At this point, that baby video is at like 5.5 million.
Let's go.
And then my follower count was over 100,000. So I surpassed her. And
here we go.
It was quick. Like, it was,
because of her.
Because of her. Yeah.
Her.
Yep.
So
and then she came back up, and then it was like a little battle between the two.
Do you guys kind of go back and forth a little bit? Like
we were at that time. Yeah, we were definitely playing the who can get more, who can get more reach.
So fun.
But that's kind of how we got started. And then with that being said, we had our first business that like consistently was using us. So I had no idea about creating anything like retainer side.
Sure.
I didn't honestly really know who I was even targeting at that time. It was just kind of for fun. And I was just like, oh,
you're making a little money,
nice car.
And you don't got to be too specific if the money's coming in.
Right. And so as, more so I was catered to the car side, and really taking on those gigs above everything else. And so then when this dealership came along, their name is Phoenix Legit Motorsports. Okay. And at that time, they were pretty small. Now they're really big, but at that time, they were a small hole in the wall, kind of nearby our school.
Cool.
And so he had asked, and he was just like, hey, he's like, why don't you just come often when I get cars in? I was like, I'll give you $100 a car, make a video. Which at that time was like, whoa. I was like, the most I've ever made in a whole month was like $800. So I was like, it's like if I add up the math, like this is more than that.
Yeah. And I'll do all your cars all day.
Yeah. And so
sir, please.
And so I started taking those on. And again, she was always helping in that like background. So like she would come with me to these shoots. Sometimes like we had a little those little ring lights because we couldn't like afford anything else. And she would have to like use an extension cord and like hold it above wherever I was.
Dedication, commitment to the craft.
It's so funny because I would always get like the weirdest looks of people like, this girl's crazy.
You gotta be seen as crazy, I think, to be successful. I mean, that's one thing I keep seeing on social media, at least from a lot of people that are well respected and have clearly done well, is a lot of people are going to think you're a little bit crazy.
100%.
And I think it's weird. Do you guys struggle at all with having like that self-confidence where it's like you've got to keep pushing forward or something like that? Because I think that's what sets a lot of business owners and maybe successful businesses away from like maybe businesses that don't ever get started or that end up crumbling. How do you guys manage like self-value, self-worth? Or
I think for that side, like even for example, like this month has been a little bit harder on the business side just because it's the holidays, so everybody's kind of cutting back. But I would say,
you guys just expanded a a bit.
Oh yeah. I know we got the whole team.
I'm feeling the same pinch.
People depending on us. But I would say God is huge for us.
Love it.
Anytime like we start to feel stressed, we just go to the Bible and pray on it. And at the end of the day, like God is, he's got us this far. As much as I would like to take credit for everything that we've built, we did not build this. God has blessed us with this. So I'd say we turn to him for everything.
I love it. I love that.
Yeah, and it's easy. Like even he stresses so much and I'm like, Jaden, like when has God not blessed us? We have a roof over our head. We have this. And
it's definitely.
I know I talk to people a lot, and one of the things that I think is very common is anxiety, and I think it's 365 times, I'm pretty sure, in the Bible, there's a phrase, don't worry.
They say worry is a sin.
Yeah, it is. And it's crazy to think about, because when you really start relying on the Lord for things, it takes all the burden off of you, and all you got to do is have faith.
I think it's definitely, we're in that little bit of a tough spot right now where it's learning that, and it's like, me and her have to keep reminding ourselves, or especially more so it's her reminding me, because
how it goes,
in that business side, we are competitive, and we are always trying to find, of course, first is ethical. Be ethical as possible, be as moral as possible. If we mess up, we take ownership. If someone didn't get what they feel like as promised, we will take the fall for it. Like that's just how we've always done everything. Whereas we see a lot of people who try to point fingers and point the blame, and they're quick to do that. If anything, sometimes our workers will see us on the phone and be like, you guys are too quick to apologize.
It's
And
because I feel like a lot of reason why business owners fail is because their egos are too big.
Ooh, man. Yeah, ego's a very hard one to get like under control.
Oh, yeah.
Especially you're probably in the right half the time when you're getting confronted. At least I feel like I could justify with my team why we shouldn't go and do that. We weren't even in that part of the yard, but you know what? Let's just save face and go scrape those rocks out in the front yard where we weren't working at all.
Exactly.
Because of, you know, or whatever.
Yeah. And so for us, like I'm always trying to push, set that goal, go as, you know, 110% that we can go to get there. And for the last couple of months, if anything, probably even the last year, we've been like knocking milestones out the park and then just impressing ourselves to the point where like, we'll look, you know, right now, even with it being that tax time and we're getting all our, you know, numbers and everything, we're looking at it and be like, whoa, like we did in 2 months today what we did in 1 year then. Like that is incredible.
That's awesome.
But at the same time, right? So with this being the holiday season, I think my mind was focused on, okay, everyone's going to want marketing right now because there's so many people wanting to spread out deals and how can people run deals if no one sees it and all these different things. So I was like, we're a go. Like this holiday season is going to be crazy. And instead it turned into quite the opposite. Whereas like as soon as November 1st hit, it's like everybody just kind of switched their mind. Our whole sales floor, like switched their common rejection was, you know, I just got to talk to my partner, business partner, get back to you. And that was always like the number one thing we were hitting. And now it's like, absolutely, January 1st, give me a call. And like, and then hang up. And we were like, why is it like, and it was like 9 out of 10 people were saying this. Wow. And so with that being said, it is that sense of like, you know, right now, this November and December, we're not pushing above. We are almost in that maintain spot. And that kind of like, it bugs me, right? Because I'm just like, why are we not going up? And it's like, and it also, you know, does hurt in a way because I am adding, you know, I did mess up. I added a little more overhead, little bigger team just to prep for it because I knew like October, you know, we were a little short staffed. It's like, hey, let's make sure that we're ready. And then to kind of have that be stagnant, I was like, oh no. But at the same time, it's that spot of, you know, that discipline to not worry. And so that I look at this as like, hey, this is a test at the moment. Because the whole time that, you know, whenever things are going not so perfect, boom, we immediately go to God. We immediately look to him. But when things are going really great, we start to, we start to not put as much attention on that, not put as much focus. We start to, not that we think that this is all on our own doing.
I think a lot of people have been there. Like it's so easy. Like when things are on cruise control, like you got it. Yeah. And when things are all messed up, you're like, man, God's got it.
Right.
You know, or whatever. And it's really hard to almost just keep that in balance.
Yeah.
You know? And just that discipline to stay consistent with God, you know. But I will say, I think that God slowing us down this month was a blessing in disguise because we were able to really fix all of the loopholes in our system and make our product so much better and our team so much more solidified to where now whenever new clients come in, they're happy. You know what I mean? Like
you got this process, bam, bam, bam. I talk a lot about process in mine for my industry. Like I have 75 moving parts on every job, you know, so I'm still dialing in the process, but like it's definitely a key element for me. My working experience with you guys has been lights out. I've been very pleased, you know, the whole time, you know, a couple of hiccups, all good. Like you guys do, you make it right, just like right now. And so I couldn't be happier. Talk to me a little bit more about maybe just the industry, how you guys fit in and what people might look to you, you know, if we're going to kind of use this as a platform to really highlight you guys, what are some of the things? I mean, anybody can go check out your socials and everything, but maybe what are some of the things that don't get advertised, you don't talk about enough, or like, I know you just got Office Space. I know you have like, you brought it all in-house. Like I'm putting it on you because Mr. Quiet over here has been rattling.
So I was going to look to him for this.
No, it's okay. It's okay. We can flip a coin too, but
it's up to you if you want me to.
You could take it away.
Jaden, keep rolling.
I'll bounce off of you.
Let's go.
He's a very good talker.
I know.
I am introvert, but if you have a convo with me, I can deliver. I can speak. And when it comes to business and life and all that stuff, I mean, it's something I love to talk about.
Yeah, we're not talking about the weather. We're talking about real
it's
things
something
here.
We put, you know, 12 hours a day into.
I love it.
So as far as for that goes, what I feel like separated us, or where we found that our spot, our niche into this whole market, was we were looking at social media was on the rise, right? This video content was on the rise. If you look at it as far as like 2019, right? It seems recent, but at that time, video content wasn't the big thing. It was really just...
I'm sorry, you were 17 then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue. Continue.
So yeah, video content wasn't that big. Businesses were not really looking to get out there on social media. Social media is just more for if you're just trying to be friends with people. And so the real video content was used for television and commercials, things like that for marketing.
Okay.
With that being said, that requires a lot of money to produce.
Big boy cameras. Crews.
You're in the tens of thousands of dollars, right? If not hundreds. And then also because of that structure, the production teams are giant. And then also you have the old camera technology too, when it comes to some of those cameras that are like $20,000, $30,000 require multiple people, because it requires someone to hold the camera, someone to do the focus pulling. Like it was outdated technology, but it was good at that time.
Sure.
Nowadays, some of these cameras that are more in the $5,000 or $6,000 outbeats those old cameras that were being charged
talk
30.
about the phones, please.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's some really good content that is just phones.
Yeah. I haven't cracked the phone content yet.
Okay.
I think my phone's just really bad. I don't know why. I've seen some remarkable stuff come off of iPhones and things like that for sure. So there is a market in that space. I just haven't figured it out yet.
All good. I see all your guys with cool cameras.
Yeah.
And I'm always seeing stuff, because it's like it comes through my feed just because I'm a business. But it's like, use your phone, do this, do that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of it is really hard for us to use our phones just because we're so used to having that crazy camera quality.
If you got why would you go back?
Yeah, and so it's hard. Like even sometimes I tell him like, dude, we should post more on the Instagram. Let's just use our phone. Let's make a quick little video, show what the team is doing. He's like, nah, that's not good enough. We can't do that. It has to be camera.
Got the standard. Okay, continue.
So with that being said, I think we found that spot where it's like all these businesses are trying to now convert to where television is more so on the dying spectrum, right? And now it's more so the social media platforms. And so with that being said, though, the big production teams can't compete because they have to charge way too much money to satisfy their 7-man team to get the content for the social media. Whereas when we can send out a 1-person team or 2-person at most, we can make it way more affordable to where you could still get that social media stuff. The other thing that we also noticed was that a lot of people would do one shoot at a time. So they get some content, run it through ads, put it up, and then just let it be. And then maybe a couple months later, they would do another shoot. And then what we found too, especially with me working at that dealership and doing all the, we were constantly making stuff for them, was that consistency was really what built the brand. Because now it's like, you're not just being seen one time and then not being seen till next month. You're being seen every day. It's basically like almost like running ads and doing retargeting and paying a lot of money for that retargeting.
Yeah,
but
actually,
we're just doing it by doing new content all the time. And then we can always run ads on that too and promote that as well. But we've ran into it ourselves with us just being busy and sometimes so focused on that, making sure the fulfillment side, we forget to we almost wish we had a media for you team for us to do our stuff while we were doing our thing.
Yeah. I'm for hire, by the way.
Yeah. I was saying we're looking if someone's here to help create the content. But
it won't be that good. But maybe that'll be the niche.
Niche, yeah. But with that being said, we were running our ads and we almost did it that old school method where it's like we only had time to really shoot something one time, run it through, and then we didn't shoot another thing until we were absolutely forced. And the reason that we were forced was because at first, as soon as we put it out, all these leads are coming through, cost per lead's nice and low. But what happens is people start seeing that same ad again and again and again. And their brain, it's like subconsciously they're scrolling, they've seen it, they watched it all one time. Maybe they weren't fully convinced yet. Maybe they're on the fence. But as they're scrolling through the next day, as soon as that ad comes through again, you're very quick to be like, I've seen this already, and keep scrolling.
100%.
And and you still had to pay for that person to come on your feed that they only took 1 minute or 1 second to look at. But when we have that new stuff constantly up, there's always something, and it causes people, even if they hadn't made their mind yet. So like, even if they're like rising tide, like I see you, I know you, but I'm just like, I'm not there yet. When they scroll, typically if they have that slight interest, as soon as they see a new piece, they'll watch it all and they'll take in everything. And there can be that one thing different in that video that separated you apart and made them say yes versus that one previously that you missed out on. So like for us with our space, things that we do, right, is obviously we'll help you with those video ideas, because that is a mental roadblock, especially when you're shooting a lot of content. And you know, keep in mind, some of these giant players are posting 3 times a day. Like it's like you have to have somebody dedicated to
following
to
you
helping
around.
you
like
with,
that's $20K a month.
You
know, I feel like, or it's not $1,000 a day or something silly.
And so, you know, we come up with the ideas as far as what are we going to be creating with you, or we at least help guide you with some of those to the best that we can, right?
Yeah, you guys have done great, honestly. Like really, like, you know, at first we're learning each other, and now I feel like you guys know me really well. We're going to go shoot today later after this. And, you know, we've got a bunch of hooks and a bunch of calls to action. I know my videographer. Like this is a great system. Like I love what you guys are doing, and I want you to succeed. I appreciate even farther. Like not that you haven't already, but I just want to see you guys keep climbing.
And any constructive criticism, like we take that in, we take it serious, because that's the only way we can really grow and fix all.
Don't open that door for me. I'm sorry.
I tell whenever.
I'm just kidding. I'm like old and critical. My son is me junior, you know. It's like, oh man, I need to chill out, you know.
That's how my parents are too.
We always, whenever we have any like slow days where maybe there's not enough, you know, that many calls coming in or things like that, I always tell our sales guys, say, hey, here's our client list. I was like, reach out to them, ask them what's something that they love about us right now, something that they hate about us. Tell them, be completely honest, write it all on paper.
Very brave and good.
We'll really, you know, go hard on the stuff that they love about us. We'll really like use as much of that as we can. And the stuff that they hate about us, let's try to find ways that we can fix it. There are some things that we can't fix. You know, so we'll sometimes have people where it's just like, hey, you know, I can't book shoots, or it's like I can't book shoots, or, you know, I just don't have the time. And like, we try to figure out how we can best help them. But there are some spots of it where it's just like, if you can't book the shoots, or if you can't, you know, afford to have somebody on your behalf, you know, do the content. You know, I mean, we've thought about it at times of like, maybe we put ourselves on content on the face for them, but we were like, no, it won't really work, because if we do that on a large scale, you're going to be that mascot for so many different spots. Whereas usually it's better and more efficient for that business to have someone dedicated to them.
For sure. I could see like once in a while, you know, popping in or popping up. I think Corey was in one of my videos.
That was funny.
Randomly.
Corey always does the weirdest videos. And it's funny because we'll just be scrolling through and we see this and we're like, oh, Corey's at it again.
You already knew who did it, for sure.
But that's awesome. And I think that's why we try so hard to make sure that, you know, of course, like me and her have had to step a little back on the actual recording part of the game. And we actually still edit a decent amount, like in office, because we can multitask with that. But on, you know, the shooting, our biggest thing was, hey, the one thing a lot of people loved when we were constantly out and recording ourselves back before we had that big team was because they knew us. So they were more comfortable with being on camera, because they knew
not everybody's comfortable on camera, man. And so it's been I don't know why, it's pretty easy for basically my whole team. Like, I don't know why, but like everybody's like, cool, you know. But I think a big part of that is just we all know Corey's coming. You know, and great if it's Jason, great, we know Jason too. But it's like it's not like a new face every single time. Where like you got to relearn each other, and maybe this guy shoots different and wants to hold the camera at a different angle you're not used to, or like you didn't practice. You know, like it's a good part of your business.
That's one
I
of
like it.
The biggest things that sets us apart from the competition too is because I think there's only like 2 other big teams out there. And so every time people come to us, we're like, okay, what turned you away from this other team? And they're like, well, the team's so big. Question. They're like, I don't know who I'm talking to. Every single time someone comes, I'm talking to a new face. And so we're like, okay, we're not going to do that in our team because that's how we can be different as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll be hard, you know, as you grow to be you talking to everybody, because I text you all the time, a couple times. I text you. But like at some point, I feel like it's got to be somebody's got to fill in that role as 100%. as you grow, right?
Yeah,
that's hard.
That's honestly our biggest challenge that we're fixing right now is because I'm actually a terrible communicator, and like I show our guys in the sense of like I was like,
don't
look,
do what I do.
I have I have 1,000 missed messages, and
don't say
like
that.
not most of them are most of them are from our customers. They're just from other outside things.
Fair, okay.
But I'm just really bad at that. Like Sabrina always says, like I would have no social life if I didn't have her, because people will reach out to hang out and I wouldn't even see the message to get back. And
you're laser focused right now.
Yeah. And so with that being said, we're trying to kind of figure out that point of communication, and then also that challenge of the people who are so used to just calling me and then having it all be solved. I don't want to deter them from doing that. So with that being said, you know, we're starting to slowly work that in. We're starting, like, we officially got our company phone, which is on with someone who's all the time, you know, it's actually with our script writer.
It's actually the number I've messaged you from.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so with that being said, he's been great at kind of helping out with things, and we're trying to, you know, put any new clients into that point of command.
Cool.
So that way it is one person, but it's someone who is always available and who's also does the whole chain of who's working with who and all those things. So there's a lot of things, like for instance, whenever you book your shoots, you're actually booking on Corey's calendar. So that way we always make it as best as possible that you are working with Corey. And so most people don't know that their calendars are set for certain videographers.
You just got a Calendly for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it.
Versus trying to be like, like this person, two of these people booked at the same time, but it's the same videographer.
Well played.
So yeah.
Well played. What are some things that you might highlight for business owners that maybe they're doing wrong, or like as you're scrolling through, like maybe help me convince a business owner that's watching this, like, okay, I probably do need to come to Media for You and get on board with my socials. What are the common things that, like, when you maybe come into something that's existing, you're like, well, that's broke. We got you, bro.
Yeah. You want to?
I say one of the number one things I see businesses do wrong is they always post pictures. And I would say, like, they'll post pictures as like an ad, and then they'll run money behind it. And so we know very well that that picture is not really going to convert anything because people automatically are scrolling on social media and they see a picture and they scroll. It's not entertaining for them. You know, people want to watch something. People want to be entertained. And so
let me drill down there a little bit, because we did have a post on ours that was like just some of my Jaden's designs, and I think it did okay, you know, but it was like a scrolly thing. Like, is that okay? Like on the page, or like how does that compare to? Because I get like one static image, like lame. Yeah, I'll scroll past that.
So pictures are okay and good when it comes to sharing people who are completely interested into you. So if they're already followers of you, if they're already sold on Rising Tide, and you're showing pictures of like a completed project,
almost there, and it's like, okay,
like that works great, and it works healthy. The problem we'll see a lot of people do is when they only resort to pictures and they're trying to use those pictures for outside engagement. So like we'll see a lot of times. We actually had it's our aquarium store that we do marketing for. Yeah. And
I watch them sometimes. Yeah. I like a lot of the people that you guys like, the Carniceria and Papa Boys, and like some other really cool. Yeah. And now my son wants us to get into gear because the Carniceria
has
shop
the shirt thing
drop, or the hats and stuff.
That's something we want to touch into too.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more about that. What do you mean by that? You want to have Media for You gear, or
more so like clothing? I think would be really cool. Okay. I see there's another creator that we really like out here. I don't want to name drop. I mean, you can if you want to. He's been a huge mentor to Jaden. I should give it away.
Yeah. Okay, I know.
Yeah, huge mentor to Jaden in the sense of Jaden's always like looked up to him. But yeah, I mean, I want to have something kind of.
I want to know that name. That'd be fun.
Dedicated to creators, and then also, I was talking to him. I want to do something with just Bible related. You know, like when people look at Media for You, I want them to think Christians.
Awesome.
You know,
I love
them.
Yeah. And so like that's been one thing for sure that we have felt called from the very beginning is we can use our money or not money, we can use our business to, you know, pay our bills, right? Pay our, you know, workers' bills too. But also we want to use it for something more than that. And so, you know, we're just always trying to figure out like, where's the lane that we can take to really showcase that, right? Is it something that like, you know, in some of these videos that we create ourselves, that we mention God or, you know, try to point people to God? Is that the way that we go? Do we try to create little short form things that have deeper meanings to God because we have the creative, you know, skill and asset
got the talent,
to that? Yeah. And then, or, you know, what can we do that like when you come to that page that you just know? And so like the merch is a nice and an easy way to make it be like, hey, like, you know, they have media for you on there, but they also have God, kind of like in that almost like in and out perspective, right? I'd like to be,
you kind of know, like you don't have to know, but you know.
Speaking of, I just found out this morning that In-N-Out has Bible verses on their food. I was scrolling through TikTok.
Yeah. It's subtle. I'd like to be a little less subtle, you know, let it be out there, but it is there. And so that's,
well, it can be both too. I would encourage you. I'm clearly Christian. I love the Lord. And I try to implement as many biblical practices into my business as I can. All of them whenever possible, of course. But like, you know, I've got some early videos that really highlight that, but then it's also in you guys just doing things the way you do things. Yeah. And someday you'll get asked, right? You know, and that'll be really an opportunity to kind of speak up and say, no, there's a reason why I'm the way I am, or I'm trying to be the way I am because I'm blessed and I want to bless other people.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's a huge thing I always see. I see a lot of people, they always talk about how they're Christian or they show it, but I really want people to look at the way that we, you know, walk throughout our life and the way that we hold our business.
It's really the most important. Like, our
actions reflect on that.
Yeah. You know? At the end of the day,
couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. At the end of the day with social media, with the marketing, like it is a cutthroat industry in the sense of it's the first thing that typically it's good in the sense that it's the first thing people get into when they're trying to scale. It's also the first thing people cut back when they're trying to, you know, cut down on costs. Like that's the first they look at. Yeah. And then also, there can be a lot of like finger pointing and blaming of like, oh, my business isn't making a whole bunch of money. It's you guys. You guys aren't pushing us. Yeah. And that same thing, we do everything we can to make sure that, you know, people get seen, you know, by everyone. Sure. And it is true. Like we always say, branding is like the most valuable asset a company or a business can have, but it also is one of the hardest things to achieve and to own. And
I think you just made me think of something. I'm going to interrupt you, but I think a recommendation would be, if we're on that constructive criticism thing, is I would love an audit from you guys, a sit down at the office audit of like, here's some things we've all, we're
talking into it already.
But I mean, I think about like, a lot of times, like I'm a pretty blind faith person. Like if I find people I trust and I like them and stuff, we're going to do things until we're not doing things anymore. And with you guys, that's been the case. It's been really smooth sailing. I've really just been like, well, you know, I like these guys. Let's go. After some time passes, it would be nice to kind of have an audit and be like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What, you know, maybe that would be cool.
And it is something that we actually were talking about it literally last night about getting that in and how we incorporate it and what we said as far as the how to tell the customers the expectation of how often we should be doing it, things like that. Because we do find, like, you know, of course we get those messages or someone's like, hey, can I call you? Like, uh-oh, what's wrong? Right. And then we talk to them and it wasn't that anything was being done wrong. It was that they have some light of like some way that they want to show themselves.
It's expectations.
Yeah. And it's like it was like, oh my goodness, like if we have this 10-minute conversation 2 months ago, this would have excelled. And so like we did that with actually good stuff. One of our companies recently, it was actually on Tuesday that they came in and just kind of shared. He's like, this is what I'm trying to do. You know, this is like, I'm seeing what you guys are doing. It's great. And all, and he's like, how can we also do this too? And it was very quick for us to just be like, perfect. Like, let's do this. And pointing it all, you know, and we had our little, here's the homework for you. Here's homework for me. And then like, let's do it. And
awesome.
And we've had those conversations.
Doesn't that feel good? That I know
absolutely.
For me, like when I get the opportunity to interact with the customer and maybe like reevaluate an expectation, you know, like I think I just had this where, you know, the customer like had just paid for the deposit on the permits and they're like, are we ready to go? And it's like, well, we need the permits. They had not been told by anybody in our company yet. So now that needs to go into the process of like, okay, really clear expectations, because you make an assumption, right? Like this is all you do. Right. I make an assumption that like people know that like we need the permit before we can do the work, but they're like, oh, I paid the deposit. Is that a permit? They just don't have a clue. Right. It's not anything their fault or anything. It's really on me to be like, okay, guys, so you're going to pay a deposit and then it's going to be 2 weeks. And then we might need a week to work you into our schedule based on, you know, because the permits are an unknown. So expectations and reality. I have to credit this to my wife, but she really ingrained this to me. And when those two things meet, people are happy. Yeah. When they are off balance, either way, it's not good.
Right. Yeah. We oftentimes we'll talk to our team in the sense of you can do everything bad, but if that customer feels like you are in complete conversation with them the whole ride through, it'll feel good. Because most of the time, these like the business owners that we deal with, they want to just feel like they honestly have control in it all, and that person is like right there, ready for them at their calling.
You're in a unique spot in that you guys just deal with business owners. Right. Like we're a unique breed. I'm learning that more and more. That like we're not always easy to deal with. Some of us have ego. Some of us are delusional, frankly. And it's like, so you really have a lot of personalities to manage probably on the side as well, versus like, it is one thing to deal with customers, you know, but it's a whole nother thing to deal with all business owners.
It's helped us a lot though. Because with that, I think that's also good reason to why we've been able to, you know, go so fast and run 100 miles an hour.
Just know so many people that we can get, you know, answers to questions, or hey, this is what our business looks like, what do you recommend us to do, you know?
Awesome. I love that.
And so in our highs and lows, we still will, you know, be in communication with, you know, these people, and a lot of the stuff that we've implemented in ourselves has been from us seeing from what other business owners do, because I think that's ultimately is the best way is you find, you know, the companies that are at spots that you want to be at, and then you start to implement those systems that they have. So like one thing for sure that I learned with, you know, a dealership is that the workers there, it did not feel like work. It was serious and people still got everything done, but it felt like a family inside there, you know? So like everyone was willing to be there from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, without having to watch the clock, because it was like that was the home. And so that's kind of like what we've tried to build around us, you know, with our office space, and anybody new who we come into is just like, hey, like we're here for you as much as, you know, you're here for media for you, you know, and we're here to help you grow. We're here to laugh. We're here to have fun. But obviously, of course, we're here also to all make food for our families and things like that. And so, you know, we have to also kind of put our head down and focus and be serious. But there's a time to, you know, have fun. There's a time to be serious. We find that happy medium.
Ecclesiastes.
Right
there.
Yeah.
Time for everything. No, I really appreciate that. What do you guys see on the future? What's maybe, you don't have to reveal anything now, but like next year, right? Like how long have you been at it? A full year even yet?
So this has been, there's 3 years. So first year was me and her on our own.
Okay.
The next year was a big struggle phase between me, her, and one other person. And we kept trying to find that right person.
Because I think at that point we were like subcontracting work out to people, you know, and we couldn't really find anybody who was willing to come in-house with us, you know? And so like subcontracting to people is really hard because those other videographers are not going to prioritize your clients.
They don't care. It's hard for them to care as much. You can teach and train and coach and incentivize, but it's still at the end of the day difficult. We use subs sometimes, and it's, you know, sometimes a challenge. Or it just takes that much extra work to watch them, to go back behind them and be like, hey, we test that out yet?
There's rough spots where we like, you know, they and they'd be super late to some of our, our things, or the video would just be terrible. But then they put a video for themselves and like, where was this? And
motivation.
So,
it shows, what people, I always tell my kids this, what's really in your heart, what you really care about, that's going to come out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that is a good evidence of that.
Yeah.
100%.
And so then it was when we found, Jason was the first one that we found that really like was bought in. And it was like,
it's crazy because I actually found him scrolling through social media.
That's how I found you guys.
Yeah, I seen a car edit and it was filmed on his cell phone, but in the editing space, he absolutely killed it. And so I remember going to Jaden and I was like, Jaden, we have to invest in this guy. Like, let's buy him gear. Like, all he needs is gear. If we can get him gear and we can get him out of his job, like, he's with us.
I love that.
What I mean? And then he went to Jaden and Jaden's like, I don't know. Like, are you sure it's a lot of money? I'm like, Jaden, trust me. Like, I see it in this kid. Like, he is a mini you. Like, 100%.
Some time's passed. I know he's still with you. He's still happy. Like, good stuff. Yeah. Those are hard to do at the time. Right? Yeah. Those are tough decisions because it is real money and it's taking you a lot to get that real money. And now you're going to go and bet on somebody that you don't know. Right. Like, that's the hardest part, I think, for me about business is betting constantly on people that I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a referral. It's word of mouth. It's this or that, to grow the team, And once you kind of get in there and, like, okay, well, that didn't work out, we gotta part ways or whatever. But it's like, for the most part, that's the hardest part.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like our whole like thing when it came to that year one and then us trying to grow this out, was actually like, so at the end of that year one, the amount that like me and Sabrina were taking home has not changed since then between now. Our business has changed big time, but it's been that
it's a good sign.
Investing for that future, investing like this is going to continue to go bigger. And,
not to worry.
Yeah. And also that goal of like, when we decided to do that, it was because we noticed that there are a lot of good and talented videographers and editors, but they may just be lacking that business side, or they just may be lacking like what Sabrina has that I lack on the extrovert side of being able to approach people and to make them truly believe in you. And so for us, we were like, if we can offer, because even on that professional side, I've been in that professional shooting experience and shooting for like Netflix and things like that.
Yeah.
And with that, it was really cool at first, right? I was like, whoa, like what is this? But at the end, it gave me this real like realization, because it was like, we just finished the whole, shoot, wrapped it up. Now we're tearing down everything, the whole set. And I was just like, oh, so what's now? What's next? And they were like, oh, nothing. Like, we go home and we start applying to, new films or sets that are, being created and hope we get the job. I was like, that is not secure in any shape or way. And so for us, our thing was like, how can we get, those filmmakers, let them still be able to enjoy that creativity, but have a secure job.
I like the angle that you took with that. And we're like, okay, been there, done that. This part sucks. Let's fix it for the people that are rolling with us. I have a lot of the same core values. Yeah.
And so it's been good. And I think like moving forward, our next things, we want to step into like online. So we want to allow people to where
what's this mean?
We constantly get a lot of like fresh startups who want to get their stuff out there, because the best way to get things out there, and we truly do believe it, is the social media side. Even on like with going back to that aquarium store, is like, we now like they average over 100,000 new people who see them every single month.
That's insane.
And it's like that is a lot of people. If you like, it's brainwashed into society with social media and people seeing the millions of views, but like that is still like, imagine if 100,000 people were in this room and you were pitching to them your business. It's a lot of people. And so,
wow, stop there.
Yeah,
say that again.
Imagine. 100,000. Yeah,
a key phrase. Say that again.
Imagine 100,000 people in the room with you as you're pitching your business.
Okay, that is my nugget for today. And that is what I and my team are going to start to implement on our side when we're on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
Because I know that, sure, but I haven't heard it said like that.
Yeah.
And I think if we treat things with more reality of like, hey, look, man, you have an opportunity here. You're going to be seen. Make it count.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
That was good stuff right there.
So yeah, we just want to be able to offer a product, for those who maybe, can't afford to have a videographer following them around and, and just give them something where it's like, hey, let us, hop on a Zoom call. Let me share with you some of these things you need depending on your budget. Cause I've been there. I've been in that spot where we had little money and needed camera gear.
I appreciate about you. You were definitely willing to be like, well, we'll get it figured out.
Yeah. And I've been there on the side where you have the money to buy the best gear. So I can help point you in those right routes. And sometimes that route is just use your phone. But with that being said, teach them kind of how to record their stuff, at the level that they can.
It's hard. I watched a bunch of videos. I'm old. I tried hard. I had friends help me. And that's why I came to you guys. It's hard.
Yeah. It is a lot harder than people really think it is.
For sure. You watch a video and it's like, oh, cool. I got this. And then you're like, oh, wait, 17 settings later. Like, I'm out.
We'll have it like all the time where someone will hire us and then they're like, oh, I'll just hire a guy in-house and then I'll teach him how to do it. And then a month goes by and they're back to us like, okay. We really thought this was a lot.
Misunderstood the assignment.
Yeah, but there's just so much on the back end that people don't see, because we just make it so easy and efficient looking for you guys.
Yeah. That is literally what every business should be doing. Is there's your nugget. Like 100%. We do so much on the backside you don't even know about, and that's why you're using us.
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
So we want to offer that ability for those online people who have a startup, don't have too much money to still be able to create and put out content and help them grow. So we are kind of coaching them through their own walk of how they're going to handle their recordings, their videos, and then we'll edit it for them. So that kind of cuts that cost. And then, so that's one thing we want
to, I like it.
So that's one thing we want to start working on. And then the other thing we want to start working on is service-based. So with that being said, right now we kind of just have flat packages that we just kind of offer to everybody.
We
want to try to, we want to perfect it. So we want to go, okay, within,
you're talking about cafeteria, right? So like,
kind of like within hardscaping, we now know this all works for them. These parts don't. Cut all the stuff that doesn't work. Just focus on stuff that works. Or even like realtors. Like we struggle a lot with realtors just because of the cost and things like that.
There's a million of them.
And so, we never really know. It's hard for us to know how big their business is, without having that respectful heart-to-heart conversation of like, hey, how much do you actually like do from this? And does that fit with the marketing that you'll be spending? So with that, we're, figure out, okay, what do realtors exactly need? What do they not need? Do they need to, do they need to have all this content, or do they just need this stuff? Do they need the postings? Do they need just this?
A lot of what we do is like branding, you know what I mean? Branding for businesses, but with real estate agents, they don't need branding. You know what I mean? Like their service is completely different from our packages that we're giving business owners.
Yeah, so true.
That's a huge thing that we really didn't think about when working with realtors. Is like, okay, what is their objective? Is their objective just get leads and sales? You know what I mean?
So, I like that your guys' headspace is all in your business's heads. What are they thinking about? What do they need from us? So I really appreciate that. It really shows in all your communication, all your videos, everything. It's so clean. So, well, let's wrap things up here. We're getting kind of close to the witching hour. What would you say is one thing anybody watching this needs to know about you or your company? You first.
Cool. I would probably just say that, we treat your business like it's our own. So even if that isn't, even if you don't fully see us in that room, in the office, brainstorming, how can we help them? What can we create? What's going to work? We're always looking at it very closely. And, we aren't perfect. We are human. And it is.
More people need to realize that.
Yeah. And social media is like, it is in a game. It's kind of like a stockbroker where we can offer our best advice to the most analysis possible. But when you buy that stock, you really don't know where it's going to go.
Well said.
And so with the social media side, it does take trial and error. It is not something that is going to, and we don't ever sell this in the sense of like, hey, as soon as you get with us, that first video, you're going to just see your whole world explode.
Yeah, you've set good expectations.
But in that time, like, 3 months down the line, you will look back and you will be like, okay, this is working. This is growing. This is healthy. I mean, we would not be doing what we were doing. We would not be ethically able to do what we were doing if we didn't truly believe that it's helping people. So that's
I love it. I love it. Your turn. It can be about you, about the business. What's something you would like anybody watching this to pick up on?
I'll kind of piggyback off Jaden. I think he said it really, really well in the sense that, you know, anybody can lie and tell you, hey, you know, start with us this month. You're going to see all these crazy results.
It's every ad on my feed.
Every company. I mean, even I want to say one of our big competitors, that's his main thing is like, I can promise you this and this and this, but it's like, it's all lies. You know,
you just need it in writing.
Exactly. And so with us, like, we're super transparent with you and like, you're not going to see the results that you're looking for. Yeah. It's, I mean, you're building your brand at the end of the day, you know, so it takes time.
Yeah, for sure. Jaden, Sabrina, this was really fun and fantastic. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your really hectic schedules. Not often I get owners in here. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you
for having us.
And thank you for being a customer still with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys around.
Yep.